Alright, welcome back Dream Team fans. This is Todd and we have another video for you today about the challenges we face when a customer gets involved in an accident and the person covering the claim is like a lesser known insurance company, in this particular case where they deal with an independent appraisal company, and writing an estimate and bringing it to us. Well, I guess this customer got in an accident a couple weeks ago, so the whole process has been going on for this long. She got rear-ended and she got pushed into another vehicle. She's been kind of back and forth with the insurance company trying to get a hold of somebody. So a couple weeks later, here we are. She finally dropped off the vehicle with us, but we still don't have any copy of the estimate. She said an appraiser came to her house, looked at the vehicle rather quickly, kind of walked around, took some pictures and rolled out. That's all she's heard. So we've been putting in phone calls and emails to this company, and we finally got a copy of the estimate sent to us. So we're going to kind of show you, I guess, some of the problems with some of these estimators out there trying to do this job and not doing it thoroughly, and some of the confusion it can cause and some of the delays. And let's just take it from there. Let's get into it. Alright, so today's vehicle involves a 2010 Hyundai. Oftentimes we get asked, why is your estimate different than my insurance company's estimate? Well, this video will hopefully answer that question for you rather well. Let's go ahead and take a look at that Hyundai. We'll bring it into the shop. Alright, there's the vehicle in question. Kind of see the front end damage right there. This is where she was pushed into another vehicle, and we have damage to the bumper, hood, grill, lights, pretty much all the basic stuff in the front end. I'm gonna walk around to the rear because this is where she was actually hit. And there's the damage to the rear. Doesn't look too bad, but we take a closer look, you can kind of see the gate. It's got some damage there. The bumper itself is cracked. And more importantly, over on this side in the corner, there you go. You can see that quarter panel is kind of buckled right there. So they got some good damage. The quarter panel got pushed forward where it's touching the door now. So more than likely underneath there's going to be some frame rail damage or something with this inner structure, the rear body or the floor pushed forward to cause that kind of a damage. So we'll pull it into the shop and just take a closer look at it. And then we'll compare with the insurance company's estimate and see just how incomplete it is. So let's go ahead and get into the shop. So now we're going to kind of take a look at the damage to the vehicle compared to the estimate written, and kind of show you some of the challenges that we face based on what the insurance company writes versus what the actual damage is. This estimate's pretty bad. That's kind of why we're doing a video on it. So let's just take a closer look. We'll show you what we're talking about. Alright, so here's the damage to the vehicle. You can clearly see damage to the hood, bumper, grill areas. So now if you take a look at the estimate, we'll start off with the estimate right here. The first line, we have replace front bumper, replace economy, aftermarket. So that is not an original manufacturer's part. That is an aftermarket, kind of a knockoff part. Same thing with the front bumper absorber. The absorber is a little styrofoam piece. They also have to replace economy, which is an aftermarket part. They have to replace the right headlamp, aftermarket part. And they have to replace the hood, aftermarket part. So basically they're going aftermarket on the whole front end on this thing. But the problem is they missed a lot of pieces already, not even going further into the repair. Let's take a closer look. Now if you look down here, this is a whole separate piece. This is a lower grill. And you can see a tab is broken here, tab's missing here. There's gouges down below. So this grill got damaged in the impact and needs to be replaced. Not on the estimate. Then if you go a little higher to the upper grill, this is a whole nother piece, this black and chrome piece. And there is a crack right here in the chrome, clearly visible, needs to be replaced. Not on the estimate. So let's go to the next page of the estimate. So now they're going to the fender. They have repair right front fender, 2 hours. So the damage up here, and you can see that fender is bent pretty good. The tip is bent. All around here is the metal is stretched where the headlight got pushed into it. So 2 hours to repair. The fender can be repaired, but the labor time is a little light. I'd probably put 3.5. That's going to require some work to reshape that and make it fit and make it look like the way it's supposed to be. But let's move over to the right fender. There's similar damage to the right fender, not as bad, but there's a buckle right here where the front tip also got moved. And you can see the headlights sticking out now, the metal stretched around the edge. That's going to require some repair as well. And if you look on the estimate, it's not on there. They only have the right fender. So we're going to have to add labor to repair the left fender and refinish that as well. And in refinishing, you kind of got to do some de-trimming, get some parts out of your way. And if you look at the bottom of the fender, that mud guard has to come off for us to paint it, and it's not on the estimate. So we've got to add that. Small stuff, but it all adds up. Now on this estimate, they are moving to the rear. So the next line on the estimate goes to quarter panel repair, right side. And they have 3.5 labor hours to repair. So let's walk around there. So here's the damage to the quarter panel. This is what they're talking about. And you can see all this whole panel's buckled all the way up to almost towards the front of the panels where the buckle starts forming. Now something from the rear being pressed in, whether it's the frame rail, the floor, the rear body, something has caused that to compress and buckle that way. And you actually see it where it's touching the door now. It's supposed to be a nice wide open gap there so the door can freely open and close. So now we have to make sure we pull the quarter panel out of the way and reopen that gap. But on their estimate, they have 3.5 hours to repair. That is a little bit light for the amount of damage, the size of the damage, the body lines and the contours, the wheel opening in here. So we're probably going to have to add a little bit more labor to repair that. Then they have on here, repair the right side frame rail, 2 hours. But right now, I'm going to insert some pictures. It's kind of hard to do video, so I'll go ahead and take a couple pictures and show that to you. Show you what we're working with the rail and what kind of damage there is. And then moving on, we're going to go to the tailgate. So right here on the tailgate, you can see the whole bottom is bent and damaged. The whole lip is bent, buckled all around this whole area. This gate is repairable, and in repairing the gate, you got to do the name plates, you got to take the moldings apart, stuff like that. So let's take a look at the estimate. They have on here to take the finish panel off, they have to reuse all the nameplates. These nameplates are individual letters. They're basically not meant to be reused because you have to retape each individual letter, line them up, place them in perfect order, when technically you should just replace them. So we're going to have to change those from reusing nameplates to replace them. Then they have take the handle out, take the wiper molding off, take the trim panel off. That's great. There's one thing missing from this estimate. There's no labor to repair or paint the gate on the estimate whatsoever. So we're going to obviously have to add that back to the estimate, which is going to make the estimate go up significantly. That's a pretty decent charge with the labor and the paint. And now we go on to the rear bumper. Now the rear bumper they actually have to replace with a OEM Hyundai bumper. So that's the first part that we've seen so far that is actually a Hyundai part. And then they finish off the estimate with a little bit of de-trim. This vehicle has pinstriping tape. We will be charged $18 for that stripe from our vendor. They gave me $12.50. So that's gonna cost me $5.50 to do the stripes for this vehicle. So obviously that's gotta change. And then it gave us a little bit of a rough pull on the front and a little bit of a rough pull on the rear, which also, once we see the damage a little bit closer, we're gonna see that it's gonna need a lot more pull time than that for the type of damage. So that's the insurance company's estimate. That's what we're working with so far. So the customer in their mind thinks that their vehicle came to a total of $3,964.75. That is in the customer's head. As we've already seen, we've already found a whole bunch more damage, just not even really hardly looking at the vehicle, just the wide open obvious stuff. So now let's take a little closer look. Once again, we're not going to do anything serious. This is as the vehicle came to us from the customer. All I'm going to do is pop the hood. And something like this, something so easy as popping the hood, can make it so much better for a quality estimate. Alright, small stuff first. Underneath the hood, we're replacing the hood. A couple labels. Small change, couple bucks each label probably, but they're stickers. You can't reuse them. So we got to replace those labels on the new hood. And now we'll go to a bigger ticket item. The front radiator support, the cross member, broken right here. Split all the way through there and all the way around where it meets the fender on this side. Broken. This is a composite material, not repairable, must be replaced. And that is a big ticket item. That's probably several $100s for the part alone, plus the labor. Now if you take a closer look at this headlight, because as we remember, they had the passenger side headlight on the Estimate. This headlight has moved right along here. You can kind of see. All this is made of plastic. I don't know if we'll be able to get a good view of it or not, but inside here, where the headlight housing is cracked, wide open, right on the back side of the headlight. So it needs a driver side headlight along with the passenger side headlight. More damage. Then the gate opens no problem. So this would not have been an issue to open the gate from the beginning. So just upon initial inspection, as you can see right now, the carpet and the flooring is not sitting level. It's kind of been pushed up, everything's out of alignment right now. So if you lift this up, there you go. Her inner trunk trim pieces are all broken. Her little cargo holds, cracked, broken, needs to be replaced. Then if you pull all this stuff out, and we actually get inside the vehicle, then we get underneath. Right there's a nice little kink in the floor, a little buckle. You can see the rear body panel here is pushed into the spare tire. More than likely it's going to need a rear body panel. The floor is wet, as you can see, moisture. So there's now the vehicle's leaking because the gaps have been disturbed. There's probably some open seams all in the rear. So that's going to definitely need to be a little bit more thorough investigation on that. Whether they could tell if it needs to repair or replace. No line on the Estimate to check it or to repair or replace it. And there, I don't know if you can get that on camera, but that whole floor panel has a large hump in it. And that hump is because the frame rail is welded to the bottom of it. And that frame rail is kinked and buckled, as you can tell from my picture. And that frame rail needs to be replaced because the metal is starting to kink over itself. He has 2 hours to repair the frame rail, but in actuality, he needs a frame rail plus a lot of repair to that floor. More than likely replacement of the rear body panel. So once you factor all this stuff in, the Estimate is going to rise significantly and kind of catch the customer off guard. So something like this customer spent a couple weeks with the insurance company going back and forth, trying to get the paperwork, trying to get her vehicle fixed. She finally got the process going, she finally dropped off her car, brought it to us to look at, and now we find all this additional damage. The car is most likely a total loss. It's a 2010, it's probably worth somewhere in the $6,000 range. Her estimate initially is already $4,000. All this stuff that could have been seen to begin with, her car probably could have been totaled, moved on with the process a long time ago, but instead she's expecting the car to be fixed, brings it to us, and now we have to be the bearers of bad news. So now we're going to go ahead and make a few phone calls to the customer, a few phone calls to the insurance company, and get this thing handled for the customer as soon as possible.
Well, it looks to me like this car needs a complete tear down and blueprint, rewritten, because you got about half of what it needs.
Correct. Unfortunately,
yeah, it'll total.
More than likely, that's what we're leaning towards. Now, they already have $4,000 on their estimate, but the customer has been struggling with the insurance company for the last 2 weeks. So now she finally gets her car into the shop. She thinks she's going to have her car fixed, and it's going to be totaled.
That's not nice.
Yeah, could have totaled it back then. Customer could have moved on.
Did she drive it or tow it in?
She drove it in. Everything is totally drivable, and you know.
100,000 miles.
Yep, 100,000 miles on it. So that's kind of the point of the video, is how things change, why things change, and what we have to deal with the insurance companies, because an incomplete estimate like this can create confusion for the customer. Sometimes you take the vehicle apart, you find hidden damage, that's one thing, but most of this stuff is pretty visible just upon initial inspection. Probably should have been caught, and now the customer is going to be more than likely maybe a little upset over the whole handling of the process, and now instead of getting her car fixed, has to go look for another car.
And they may look at us as the bad guy.
Exactly.
We totaled their car.
Exactly.
But we didn't.
Right. Thank you, Vic. There it goes. The insurance company, after the additional damage, did decide to total it. So it's a total loss, and here we are several days later now, and they are picking it up and towing it to the salvage yard.